Well, hello everybody. It is Sunday morning here in Edinburgh. It's quite a grey day out there, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do for the day, and I was looking to see if there was anywhere in particular that I could go. I knew that there was an antiques fair in a place called Kelso, which is about a 90-minute drive away from Edinburgh. And then I realised it closes at 4, so I thought perhaps it's a bit too far to go just for an hour or so. And then I just thought, you know what, it's a very grim grey day, and on those days I like to spend time indoors doing something very nice. So I got a huge delivery, a gift from a friend of mine in America for my birthday. And he bought me a huge stack of books about country houses. And I opened one last night. I'll show you the one that I opened. Oh gosh, it's so heavy, this pile. So the one that I opened is this one, and it is called At Home in the Cotswolds, Secrets of English Country House Style by Katie Campbell. And this is just a book about all different types of houses in the Cotswolds, from large manor houses to more charming rectories to little cottages. And what I decided to do, I talked about relaunching my ASMR channel. So last night I filmed a new ASMR video, and it is now live on my ASMR channel, Elegant ASMR with Nicolas Fairford, and I have linked that in the description box so that if you want to go and watch that video, it is there for you to enjoy now. And in that one I just leaf through the pages of this book and share it with you all in a very relaxed, calm manner. So that's what I did last night, a nice way to spend a Saturday evening, and then I had Nathan over for some drinks with another friend. And so yes, I have got this collection of books to go through: The English Country House, The Country House Past, Present, Future, and Country Life, 125 Years of Country Living in Great Britain from the archives of Country Life magazine. So I'm going to do a few things in the house. I want to repaint the top of my round table where Magnus the plant lives, because it's I refresh it about once a year because it does get quite a lot of use. People put glasses on there, sometimes I have dinners or lunches on there, so it gets a bit beaten. So every year I like to refresh that, and it's very simple. It will take me about an hour to do. So I'm going to start with that and see where this day takes me. So you can see here why I want to paint the table. We have some red rusty paint on here. This was from the summertime when I had a little painting lesson from my friend Jonathan Fremantle. So he came to the house and we set the table, the easel up here, and we did some painting. And then when he left, I started painting on my own, and I got paint on there, and now that needs to be removed. So Jonathan is the artist who did this painting, and he also did my portrait. So yes, to paint the table, let me just flip this around. I'm going to be using two products from Annie Sloan. We've got the Annie Sloan Old White and the Annie Sloan Paris Grey. Now what you do is you start by painting the base of the table in the white, and then we let that dry for an hour or so, and then we take the Paris Grey, we water that down, and then we just apply a nice wash over it. And you see, you get these lovely, lovely marks, which I really love. It just creates character and depth and just makes it look a lot more better than solid painted wood, I believe. So I think this will be very easy to refresh. Nice and simple for a Sunday afternoon. You can see it's terribly grey outside, no sunshine whatsoever, but it's nice and cosy inside. Sophie is, all of my filming equipment is just here. Sophie's having a little sleep. So yeah, a nice Sunday, and I'm just still absolutely loving my chair. Isn't it fab? And I've got my little roses there, so it's quite beautiful in here again. And also what I might do, this is my bar, And this also needs a bit of a refresh. You may remember that I painted this to look like marble, and it really did at the very beginning, but this has got quite beaten and bashed as well. Under here we have a little, it's where the paint came off. So I might do this as well if I have time today, but I don't want to spend the whole day painting the furniture. So let's get started on this. So what I'm going to do, very first step, is to clean the table to make sure that it's got no dust or any residue on there like grease, because then this paint won't stick. So I'm just using methylated spirits, a little on this cloth, and I'm just going to quickly rub across the surface. You can see where you've rubbed, so this makes it very easy to get done, and it dries instantly so that you can get started. You don't have to wait for any of the paint, any of this to dry off too much. So that's perfect, because I hate when you're doing things like this and you have to keep waiting for each step to get completed, but this is very, very fast. So a nice clean of the table. We've got some candle wax on here. I like to use candles, and sometimes you can get wax. So this will just lift all of that off, remove any dust, so that you've got a nice clean surface to work from. So I do think that on days like this, it's great to just get things done in the house that you've been putting off and not dealing with. Now, I want to say thank you for all of your incredible comments on my last video about the house move. So I did really love that apartment, and I always think that if you can't stop thinking about something the next day, then that is a really great indicator that you should go ahead with it. So for example, if I go to a store and I spot something that I like that's perhaps a little bit more expensive than I like to spend, what I do is I will go home, not buy it at that moment. I will go home and I will spend, and I will wait to see if I'm still thinking about it a few days later. And if I am still thinking about it and I can't get it out of my head, then I will probably buy it, because that means that it's something that you really want and it's worth buying. If you don't think about it again, then it wasn't really worth buying and you've made a great saving. So yes, the next morning, in fact the whole night when I got home, and then when I was laying in bed, I was thinking about this apartment and how wonderful it could be for my life. Now, a few of you pointed out that you saw the listing online and that it is actually for sale as well. I'm not sure whether I mentioned that in the video, but I knew that it was for sale before I went to view it. And I asked the agent what was the deal with that, and they said that it has been on the market for a little while and it wasn't selling, so now they were deciding to rent it out. And that is concerning for me, because I don't want to be in a position where I move out of my lovely home here, I move into a new place, and then within a year or even less I have to move because it's been sold. So I have contacted the agent and I want to get complete clarification on that before any decisions are made. I've also asked about the carpets being replaced and the walls being repainted. So I'm waiting to find out. But one or two people also did say about the fact that I should probably think about buying a house, because I spend quite a lot of money renting and I spend money on making my homes beautiful. And you know what? Everybody is quite correct when they say that. I have wanted to buy a home. It's my biggest goal in my life, is to buy a home. And for the last few years I've been positioning myself to do that. I reckon I've got about 2 years before I can buy a home, the type of home that I want to buy. And to be honest, that apartment that I went to see, the price, the type of apartment that it is, that is exactly what I would want to buy. So it may be that I rent that home and then in 2 years' time I'll be able to buy it, which would be wonderful, because then I'd be spending, if I spent any money on the place, it would be investing in my own home. But buying a house is something that is very, 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 very high on the list for me. I want to be able to buy a house, buy an apartment, and I will probably keep that for the rest of my life. So now that the table is clean and free of any residue, we're going to start painting. I've got my Annie Sloan brush. These are great brushes. They've got this nice dense thickness to them so that you can really grab the paint and get it onto the table. So yeah, I am quite excited about this apartment, and it really did get me into the mood of thinking about buying a property. And it kind of, when you see a property like that you really love, and you see that it is for sale, it just makes you want to work so hard and just focus on getting it done and being able to buy it. But it is so tough nowadays. As a young person who is single, you know, I have one income. Life is expensive when you are living in a big city, and Edinburgh is an expensive city. And if you want to have a good lifestyle where, you know, you spend time with friends and you go and do nice things and you want to go on holiday, life is very, very expensive, and you really have to focus on saving and making sure that you're planning for the future, whilst also balancing the fact that you want to have a good life and that you just never know what's going to happen in life. I mean, I know people who literally don't do anything because they're so concerned about saving, and they don't do anything nice, they don't really enjoy their lives, and they're just so focused on saving. But you just never know what is around the corner. I've seen it happen too many times where you plan and things happen. You know, you can get ill or accidents happen. I know it's a morbid thing to say, but it is very, very true. And you have to make the balance of enjoying your life, but also planning ahead. So that is what I have tried to do. And yes, I'm about, I'd say, 2 years from being ready to buy my own property. So I've rented here for 4 years this year. A long time, but I don't feel resentful or regretful that I've had to rent for so long, because this home has given me an incredible life. It's been a place where I've enjoyed living, and also it's enabled me to create lovely YouTube content for everybody. I've been sharing this home and the process of decorating it over the last 4 years, and I think it's given not only me great joy, but everybody who watches this seems to enjoy it as well. So it's not been a waste. And also, I haven't really spent money on things that I can't take away. So the biggest expense that I've spent is on paint on the walls, and some of the times that was via collaboration, so I didn't even have to pay for them. So everything else, all of the furniture, all of the objects, they're all things that I can take away with me when I do eventually get my own house. All of the furniture is mine, all of the lighting, well, not those ugly black lights there, but all of the others. It's all my stuff, so I can take it with me when I move into my lovely new apartment, wherever that will be. So yes, this is the chalk paint is quite thick, and you need that for this bottom coat, because otherwise it wouldn't grab. On the second coat, which is the grey, that can be a lot more loose because it's just a wash that we're applying and we want to get nice strokes in there. But yes, for this initial coat of paint, you do need to make sure that it's nice and thick, and this chalky texture really just helps everything to grab on and gives you a lovely, lovely base. So it takes a little bit longer. Actually, it's quite tiring work. The brush is heavy and the paint drags, so it's quite tiring, but the result is well worth the effort. So I'm rambling a little bit now, but I think it's quite nice to do that when you're doing a task. I feel like I'm standing here and my friend is with me in my living room, you, and you're just sitting with me whilst I do this task. So I hope that you don't find this too dull or boring, being with me as I do this. It's nice to have your company on this Sunday afternoon. And I remember the first time that I ever painted with chalk paint. I was so nervous. It took me like a week to brave the courage just to get started and put the paint onto the table or whatever it was that I was painting. And now I just don't even think twice about it, because I know that whatever you do, if you make a mistake, which I never have, to be honest, it's just so easy, you can always fix it and it will always turn out to be really beautiful. So yeah, if you are considering painting a piece of furniture or doing an upcycling project but you're a bit scared, I would say to you, take the leap. It will turn out brilliantly and you'll be so delighted with the result and that you've actually managed to do something beautiful for yourself and improve your home. So I'm almost finished on this coat. And what I like to do once I have applied the whole area with the paint is I just take my brush and then I do nice strokes so that you've got lovely strokes at the very end when you're adding your wash on top. This paint really does dry very quickly, so it's nice and quick, you don't have to wait around. And yes, it's a nice tacky paint that sticks on really well. And you get a lovely result. So yeah, we're done for this coat now. I'm just going across here. This part is already dried, that's great. I might do one more coat of this, just so that we've got a really great foundation. But other than that, I think we're almost finished with this little task. Perfect. Well, good morning. It is now Monday morning and I wanted to show you the table now that it's finished. So last night I waxed the table and then I've just given it a nice buff and polish, so it's all finished and ready and it's looking really beautiful. So let me flip the camera and show you this now. So here we are, and what I love about the finish is that it doesn't look like it's brand new. So even though it's freshly painted, it's got this old aged patina on it, so it's in keeping with the rest of the table. You would never know that it's had a fresh coat of paint, but all of those red rusty marks are now gone and we've got this lovely brushstroke patina. And now that I've polished it up, it's nice and shiny and it will be protected so that the plant Magnus can go back on there. So I'm very, very happy with the way that this has turned out. Very low effort, but just refreshes everything and makes it look a lot more beautiful. But the finish is really the same as before, just a refresh, so it looks great. So yes, that is that done. I'm going to put the plant back on here. By the way, if you can hear some banging, they're doing some work above, so apologies about that. That is all that is. But yes, I'm very happy with that, and it's a great thing for a Monday morning to have a freshly painted table, so it's looking all beautiful, and yeah, a great start to the week. So I've just come for a little walk. Even though it's a very grey day, I still like to get out, and Sophie does like a little walk as well, not too far. So in Edinburgh, in the new town where we live, we have residential gardens, private gardens you need to get a key for. And the one that I have is directly opposite my apartment, and it's very, very beautiful, except in the winter, it doesn't have any paths around the perimeter. So in the winter, when it's always wet and soggy in Edinburgh, it's like a mud bath, and going in there is not an option. But my neighbour upstairs, Jane, she has the key for the next garden along, which is about just 1 block away from where I live, which is about a 3-minute walk. And this garden has paths all around the perimeter, so we can come here and we don't have to put Sophie in the bath after we've finished. And actually, I prefer this garden. So I think what I'm going to do is swap my key for this one, because it is a lot more beautiful, it's a lot more interesting. You can see here behind me we've got that little temple there, that's very pretty. And then through here there's a little pond, and in the spring and the summer, because they plant out the garden quite beautifully, it really is blooming, and it just looks fabulous in this garden. And the great thing is that it is fully concrete all around the edges, so you can walk here in the winter and you're not going to get dirty and muddy, which is great, because that other garden is just hopeless in the winter. It's a little bit of a waste of money because you only get to use it in the summer. Even in the spring it can be soggy and wet. So yes, we're having our afternoon walk. It's absolutely freezing here in Edinburgh. It's about 5 degrees, but it feels like it says on the app, the weather app, feels like -5. It's so cold. I wish I'd put a warm scarf on. And this grey sky isn't making me feel too good, but we have to enjoy what we have. This pond here was actually the inspiration for Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, who lived here in Edinburgh. And I think it's easy to see why, with that little island in the middle of the pond. Yeah, this is a very pretty garden, even on a grey day like this. So I just thought that I would give you a little update on the apartment move situation. So it is now Monday morning, as I just said, and I had an email from the agent about 20 minutes ago to say that unfortunately the property has now been, it's now had an offer to buy it, because it was for sale as well. So someone is going to buy the property, so it's no longer on the rental market. And this is exactly the thing that I was concerned about. Imagine if I'd moved there and then in 2 weeks' time or whatever, it was sold, because the laws in Scotland with the rentals are flexible. So you can't, even if it's a long-term let, if the landlord or yourself wants to leave the property, you only have to give a month's notice and you can move out. Actually, I think that that's not right. I think it's that as the tenant, if you want to move out, you only have to give a month's notice, but the landlord has to give you plenty of notice. But in Scotland, there is no such thing as these long-term lets where you have to stay for 1 year and you can't escape your lease. So yes, I believe that everything is meant to happen for a reason. And this property, if anything, has inspired me to really just focus on my desire to buy a house, to buy a property. And if I'd been in the position to buy a property right now, I probably would have bought that one, because it was perfect. It ticked every box, and it would have been amazing content to share here on the channel with everybody, because even though it didn't really need major work doing to it, over the next few years I could have slowly decorated, refitted the kitchen, changed the bathrooms. I wanted to turn the spare room into a bigger bathroom and make the small bathroom into a walk-in closet. So there's many things that I could have done, and it would have been fabulous content here on the channel. So I never feel sad about these things, because I always believe that everything happens at the right time and for a reason, and I've always trusted the timing of my life. There have been times when I've been so disappointed about missing out on something, and then something better comes along, or something happens where I think, that was the reason why I wasn't supposed to do that thing or be in that place. So I've always trusted the timing of my life, and I always know that everything happens for a reason. And so far, it's all worked out wonderfully. Touch wood, it continues to go that way. So yes, I'm laser focused on working hard and making sure that within the next 2 years, I'll be able to leave this property, and it will be the last rental property I ever live in, and I can buy my own place. I think it's very important. As a gay man who's never going to have children, I know I'm not, I don't want them, I always think that it's not so important to own a property, because I think the reason why people buy houses and want to have that security is so that they have something to pass down for future generations. And I know that everybody in my life, like my niece Ava, and if my brother has a baby, they will be well looked after by lots of other people, and they wouldn't necessarily need my property. But it's still important for me to own a place, I think, just for mental well-being of having something that's your own, and of course, financially as well, it makes more sense to own your own property. It will increase in value, they always do here in Edinburgh. And it just means that I have the security of living in my own home. So it is very, very important. So yes, I'm going to focus on working very, very hard. And on that note, I wanted to let you know again about my ASMR channel, because I did upload my first video last night, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video. So if you would like to watch that, the link is below. And I just wanted to say, I've seen a few comments on that video from people saying, oh, I really don't like ASMR, this is not for me, I might unsubscribe from your channel. So please note that that is on a separate channel. It is not on the Nicolas Fairford channel, even though it is me on the video. I purposely created a separate ASMR channel because I know that not everybody likes ASMR, so I wouldn't want to subject you to it if you don't like ASMR. So that is not part of this channel. You do not need to worry. If you don't like ASMR, you never need to look at that channel ever again, and you'll never see any of those videos. But if you do, please go ahead over to there and subscribe, and I'm going to do videos on that channel every Sunday. So every Sunday will be ASMR on Elegant ASMR with Nicolas Fairford. Every Monday will be the regular vlog here that you're seeing now, and then on Thursday will be the other vlog. So on Nicolas Fairford, I'm doing 2 vlogs per week, Monday and Thursday, and then on Sundays it's the ASMR channel. I think Sunday is the perfect day to create an ASMR video, time to relax, unwind. Perhaps people are getting stressed about the week ahead. It will give you a little bit of respite if you enjoy ASMR. So I think for now I might as well stay here. I love this little house. It's my little cottage in the middle of the city with my courtyard garden and my beautiful interiors that I've made my own. So I'm very, very happy here, and I think that exercise of going to see the apartment was just intended to make me focus on the real goal, which should be buying a house. So yes, I'm very, very excited, and I just want to thank everybody, as usual, for your support. I always really enjoy reading all of your comments and views and what you think. And a lot of people were telling me to go ahead, move, you'll have lots of content and it's a really great, exciting thing. And then other people were saying, oh, but your lovely home is so beautiful now, don't move. So I always love to read and hear everybody else's perspective. I do truly value all of your comments and thoughts, and I take them into consideration. So thank you for helping me to think about my journey ahead. So that is all from me on this Monday. I've got a busy week ahead, creating lots of lovely videos. I've got meetings. Also, there has been some progress on Nathan and my podcast, which is called A Dose of Dandy. We talked about that last year, and we made a list of 10 episodes. It was all planned out, and then I realised that I didn't really know how to produce it in terms of microphones and filming. So when Nathan joins me on these videos, we have a slight issue because we only have one microphone, and I did buy another one, but only one connects to this camera at a time, and I couldn't figure that out, and I still can't. But we've been working with a local videographer in Edinburgh on some of our Instagram campaigns for brands, and he just happens to be an expert podcast producer. What I said before, everything that's meant for you will come at the right time, and this guy Dan has come along and he is going to produce our podcast. So we are going to start filming the podcast in March. We're filming 10 episodes March and April, so we're aiming to have the podcast, the first season, ready for May. Springtime, my very, very favourite time of the year. So all of those episodes will be released. There'll be a new YouTube channel for everybody who wants to watch the podcast. I will announce that next week so that you can follow that along, and it will also be available on all podcast streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. So anyway, I'm telling you a lot of information. I don't want to overload you right now, but just to say that for everybody who was asking about the podcast, it is now going to be the wheels are in motion to get it going. So that is very, very, very exciting. So yes, thank you for joining me once again. I hope that you've enjoyed this video of me mulling over life decisions and painting my table. It's always a pleasure to have you with me. I look forward to seeing you next time, but until then, do take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.